Good afternoon. First of all, I want to thank all of you for your patience this week as we honored the family's request to wait for today's transfer before issuing additional medical updates. As promised, we have the medical team here to provide a brief update for you. At this time, if the doctors will please take their places.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And now I have Memorial Hermann President and CEO, Dan Walterman.
Good afternoon. As you know, this morning, Congresswoman Giffords was successfully transitioned from Memorial Hermann Hospital to TIRR Memorial Hermann to begin the next step in her recovery, full-time rehabilitation. I had the privilege of accompanying Gabby and Mark to TIRR and can tell you they are very happy to be there and that Gabby is resting comfortably in her new room. Before I introduce Dr. Holcomb to begin the medical briefing, let me emphasize one point this afternoon, and that is, in the interest of Gabby's privacy and at the family's request, the medical team today will confine their remarks to the Congresswoman's overall progress and expected course of therapy. With that, Dr. John Holcomb.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming together today. I just want to start off very briefly, just reemphasize the great care that the Congresswoman received in Tucson, a very smooth transition here. As we said a couple days ago, we were going to do a thorough evaluation. That's been done, assess what her plan would be, and then get her into inpatient rehab as fast as possible. That really has been accomplished. That's exactly what's happened. Nothing really deviated from that overall plan. We're going to take 10 minutes or so of questions, and at this point I turn it over to Dr. Don Kim, Chairman of Neurosurgery.
Good afternoon. Since Gabby arrived last Friday, we have noticed daily improvements in her neurological condition. We're very pleased with that. And in terms of recovery for brain issues, this is really at lightning speed. That recovery is going to continue, and we're going to ask Dr. Francisco to talk a little bit about what she will go through now that she's at the rehab hospital.
Thank you, Dr. Kim. As Dr. Holcomb mentioned, the transition to TIRR Memorial Hermann went very smoothly. It occurred this morning. We've had our first meeting. We've done our assessment, and as I am speaking here, she is undergoing physical therapy. She'll be receiving physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy this afternoon. Yes.
What kind of things can you do with that?
Well, speech therapy is not just speaking. It's really speech language pathology. That's the proper name for that discipline. Currently, the speech pathologist is working on different means of communication and some other therapeutic interventions as well.
Will you be placing one of those devices in the tray that will allow her to speak while it's still in place?
Yeah, she's talking about the speaking valve. Yes, we will.
Why do you still have that in place, the tray?
I think that's a question that my colleagues will be. Dr. Isiku?
Certainly, when you've had a trach in for a period of time, it's a downsizing process, and so it's something that we just can't simply remove. And she's already undergone the first process of that, and we were able to downsize that earlier this week, and that'll continue over the ensuing weeks.
When do you foresee her having the tray down altogether?
Sure. I think as her therapy continues to improve and so forth, we'll remove the trach as that goes along as well. Right now, we're not anticipating any difficulty with being able to take that out at all. So she's not requiring any additional breathing support. It's just a natural process at this point.
So she can breathe independently and swallow safely?
She can do that.
Do you believe she'll be able to speak when this is all said and done?
I guess I'll refer that to Dr. Kim from the neurosurgery perspective.
At this point, I think we can say that her speech function, along with everything else, has been improving quite a bit. And as I said, we're seeing daily progress, and we'll have to assess that over time.
How alert
Yeah, she's very interactive. She has to be involved in therapy for this length of time. I've seen her just be very interactive, appropriate with her family and the staff around her, and she's just making great progress daily in that regard.
Can you describe the therapy that she's receiving in this early stage? What sorts of things she's being asked to do?
Well, we have already upgraded her therapy. Right now, we're working on conditioning, strengthening. We're working on maintaining her range of motion. We're performing activities to try to prevent the complications of being in bed for a long time. We are progressing her in the sitting and standing program. As I mentioned earlier, the speech and language pathologist is performing both ongoing assessments and therapeutic intervention as needed. And in addition to that, there are other therapists that are going to be involved or are already involved. We have neurologic music therapists, recreational therapists. There's a neuropsychologist in my team as well. So it's a busy afternoon already, and I anticipate that to be an even busier schedule in the next few days. Well, it depends on the tolerance, the person's ability to tolerate the therapy. Right now, as I mentioned earlier, I've already increased the therapy duration because her tolerance level has improved significantly in the last few days.
Did you install a shunt, or what did you do about the fluid problems?
No, we were able to take the drain out. What she had was a buildup of what's called cerebral spinal fluid, or CSF. It's a normal fluid that's around our brains. And at times of injury, that fluid can back up a little bit and not get absorbed like it should. It's a flow. Some fluid is made, and then it gets reabsorbed. She had a drain put in. The official word for that is a ventriculostomy in Tucson, very appropriately. And she needed drainage for a few days. By the time she got here, that drainage was already starting to decrease. So on Sunday, we stopped it with the drain in, just clamped it so it didn't drain, followed her for a day, got a CT scan, and when everything looked good, I was able to remove it on Monday. And then we've been following that, and everything has been very stable so far. So I think there's a good chance that she is not going to need a shunt, which is a permanent version of that sort of drain, and something we'll be following along with her while she's in rehab.
As far as the sitting and standing, is she able to do those things on her own? Can she physically sit up and stand without someone holding her? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
She's interacting very well with the therapist. She's doing a lot of the activities that we're asking her to do during the therapies.
What exactly do you do with the sitting and standing therapies? Like, can you give an example of something that she would do during the course of that treatment?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of your question.
Give an example of something that she would do during the course of the treatment. Like, how do you, I guess, get her back to standing or walking? Like, what kind of activities do you do?
Right. Well, there are different activities. Again, it depends on what a particular person needs. We have some patients who do not need to undergo, who will not need to undergo extensive training with sitting and standing. There are others who might need more. So again, it depends on what the person needs. But what we would like to accomplish is to improve balance, to improve the ability to tolerate the upright position, and to prevent the complications associated with being in bed for a long time.
On Saturday, you were talking about some paralysis on one side and saying it was making some improvement. Is it still making improvement? And is paralysis the right term, or just muscle weakness? How would you describe it?
Let's just say some weakness, I think, will be the more appropriate term. And as my colleagues mentioned earlier, we are seeing improvements every day.
Dr. Holcomb, how impressed have you been with the rapidity of speed with which you've been able to recover?
You know, I think everybody's commented on that, and her ability to have some responsiveness in the emergency department in Tucson was impressive, and that's just continued on throughout her stay there and here, and then moving over to TIRR.
Characterize it as remarkable?
She's done remarkably well. She sure has. Bob, you had a question?
In terms of fatigue, how long is she sleeping when she wakes up? An hour and sits down?
Dr. Isico?
Sure. I think at this point it's safe to say that her sleep-awake cycle, for anyone who has been in an intensive care unit, it's normally disrupted, has existed for her, but she's awake about as much as you and I are. And so like anybody else, after a long day of physical therapy, she's tired and when she gets a chance to rest, but 90% of the time when I've gone in to see her, she's been awake. So I think you could, that's been very well. Well, I think as my colleagues have mentioned, you know, she's very interactive with us. I can tell when I go in and I'm examining and so forth that she's cooperating and interactive and aware of what's going on. So I think along with everything that's been said, it's progressing quite remarkably. On some level, I would say that that's progressing kind of as we'd expect it to be at this point. She has been able to do that, and with the complexity of different commands and so forth, she's done well with that. And at that point, I think it's gone well.
Is she doing all of her therapy in her private room, or has she gone into one of the gyms on the floor or on the ground floor?
Right now in her room.
And is her, you talked about the room, is her husband able to stay there with her at all times? Can you just paint a picture for us?
Yes, her husband, her family are welcome to stay with her there.
Did she want us to stay in the union last night? Was she awake?
Oh, I don't know what. I was not at Hermann last
I don't
night.
think any of us were physically present in the room with her.
State of the Union.
We were watching
We were
the State
watching
of the
elsewhere.
Union at home.
Can you talk about her vision? Are both eyes, is she able to see out of both eyes?
We haven't formally tested her vision at this time.
What about her current state and her condition is cause for concern for you guys, or is there anything that gives you pause about her recovery, given her current state?
So I would just say that we worry about everything all the time, and I think that nothing really unexpected has happened of all the things we worry about, and we're going to continue to worry about all those things and keep her from having those problems.
You know, I think whenever somebody has what we call a penetrating brain injury and then also has a drain, that's a major concern. But I can tell you that there is absolutely no evidence of that. We've tested for that. She's also got no evidence of infection anywhere else. So that's part of the reason why we were so comfortable for her to go today.
What would be some of the common milestones that you'll be looking for as she progresses, sitting up on her own, standing up on her own? Can you walk us through some of what you're looking for as signs of progress?
Sure. Physically, as you mentioned, the ability to sit and stand by herself, or decreasing the amount of assistance that's needed for a particular activity, the ability to interact more. So there are a lot of milestones that we can name, and I don't think we'll have enough time to go through each and every one of them. But I think you get the idea of what those milestones are.
Do you have any evidence about whether her ability to form thoughts and communicate has been impaired? Is she writing things on a board, or do you have any clue as to her verbal ability, as opposed to understanding messages?
I think we have very good evidence that she's got good ability in many ways, as we've discussed, and that every day that's been getting better. So I think that's about what we're going to comment on now.
Yeah, I think we ought to wrap things up, guys. It was a great seamless, no problems, 5 minutes, absolutely perfect. Couldn't have been better. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.